let's roll into the worksheet you have in front of you. And one of the things that I want you to think about here is there's 3 questions that all followers ask. And you may want to jot these down, they're not in your notes. This thought process comes out of 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership as well. And the 3 questions all followers are asking. First one is, do you care about me? Okay? Do you care about me? The second one is, can you help me? Okay? And the third one is, can I trust you? Okay? Do you care about me? Can you help me? And can I trust you? Okay? I was teaching this in the mastermind that we have going at Fair Oaks, and some of the mega agents we have up there go, well, that's all that our clients are asking of us. Yeah, it's called being a leader, it's called being a person of influence. Do we not lead our clients, right, to what they need to get to, right? And that's what we're going to talk about here in this law, as far as the law of addition. So those are the 3 questions that I want you to be aware of, and that's being influential. Okay, how am I showing up for my people? Do they know that I care? Do they know I can help them, and do they know they can trust me? Okay, because not much else happens if that's not dealt with. Okay, we good with that? Okay, in your worksheet, what we're talking about here is the law of addition. So your first one is addition. The law of addition is the 5th law out of the 21 laws of leadership. And the next one is leaders add value by serving others. Okay, leaders add value by serving others. The bottom line in leadership isn't how far we advance ourselves, but how far we advance others. You get a theme here? Like outward focus, right? Come from contribution. What can I do out there? That's what this influence piece starts to come from, and this is where the law of addition ties right into that. Okay? Sometimes there's this perception that, well, I'm the leader, so you serve the leader, right? Which is totally invalid, right? And I love it in Chris and my relationship, for instance. Sometimes the team leaders will say they work for me. It's like, no, you don't, because I'm not going to manage people. And so what we do is we work together. We're partners. He's got his role to do, and I've got mine. Does that make sense? So what I want to do for Chris is, how can I serve Chris? What can I do? And I'm thinking about Chris. Oh, on the weekend. Okay, there's something I can do. What can I do to serve Chris? Guess what? Chris is looking at me going, hey, how can I serve you? Now he doesn't.
I need a MacBook Air. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
How many net by the end of the year? Because we can talk. So how can I serve others, okay? So here's the critical question, okay? And it's in your notes there. Are you making things better for the people who follow you? Okay? Are you making things better for the people who follow you? So are we making it better for your clients? If you're serving on the soccer board, you're making things better for the people who follow you. I served on the soccer board for a lot of years, and one of the questions that I worked to ground people back into is like, you know, we're having this big discussion. Is this helping more kids get on the field playing soccer? I mean, how many discussions happen that they're not even about adding value to the constituency, right? So your next fill in the blank here. These are the facts about the law of addition. Okay, this one landed hard on me. Okay, if you can't give some evidence, of making things better for your people, then you're probably a subtractor. Wow. Okay, Rick, where's the evidence? Start looking for the evidence. Go to the evidence. Okay, and then the next line gives me some hope. It says 90% of all people who subtract do it unintentionally. Okay, so that gave me, it's like, okay, yeah, when I'm subtracting from people, I'm not doing it with a malicious intent, right? I'm not being aware, personally. However, and so I need to increase my awareness. However, I'm not doing it intentionally. Now, this also gives me room to give people grace. It's like, hey, they subtracted from me. They took from me. They probably didn't mean to do it intentionally. Give them a pass. Hey, no big deal. Now, the 10% that do intentionally take or subtract, I'm not going to be around very long, right? However, it just gave me space to give them grace. It's like, hey, it's okay, right? Consistent behavior is a different discussion, and if you have the right relationship, you can have the discussion about, hey, this is how it landed on me. However, it's like, okay, 90% of people are doing it unintentionally. I can live with that. when a leader subtracts and doesn't change his ways, he goes from subtracting to dividing. Have you ever experienced leaders that have done that? Right? Take, subtract, subtract. Pretty soon, divisions happen. Divisions in relationships, divisions in marriages, divisions in businesses, partnerships, countries, right? That happens. So that's what happens when you start, if you're not aware, even if it's unintentional, this law applies, right? The law of gravity applies even if you're not aware of it. Step off the building, you're hitting the ground, right? So be aware of that. In contrast, 90% of people who add value do so intentionally. It's like, okay, good. Now I have something I can work on because now I know where I need to go, right? And the question, the next piece there is why, and it's because human beings are naturally selfish. I'm just looking out for me. I'm selfish. Since I'm selfish, by adding value to others, I have to be on purpose. I have to be on purpose. So now, okay, great. Now if I'm being on purpose, now what can happen? Okay. So then, what's the next thing they're saying? Once I'm doing this, and I'm going through and I've added enough value to other people, now it can start to multiply. Okay? So I've spent a fair amount of time preparing for our time together. Both intentional time and time just kind of like, it's happening by osmosis. It's like, okay, what? So now my hope is I come in and I add value to you. And you literally walk out of here, and who knows what can happen. That multiplies, right? I don't need to know about anything else. Like, what can happen? What are you doing for the Mormon family, right? I mean, look at what can happen when we start to pay it forward, okay? The influence that you have speaks so loudly through, oh, here's the channels that I'm talking to, they're going to be here to cover this. Right? That shows your influence. That's evidence. I've added value to people, and now when I would like something, I can get it. Does that make sense? It's a huge, huge, huge opportunity. As we start to go out there, now we're multiplying through the community. Does that make sense? We're adding value through the community. Okay? So next page there, this talks about the benefits of adding value and serving others. Okay? So the thing is there, we have to be aware of needs and benefits those being served. So now again, we've got this outward focus. What are we doing? How are we serving? What are we doing for them? By the way, will my business be okay if I take care of other people? Right? Zig Ziglar says, if you help enough people get what they want, you can have everything you want. Okay? So I'm going to argue that if you're not getting everything you want out of your business, you're just not helping enough people. You're not reaching out to serve enough people. Okay? And they come from maybe I need X, as opposed to who can I serve. Okay? This law resonates with me so loudly because so many books that I'm reading right now are hitting on this law. Okay? The Thank You Economy is one of them. Kevin Hall's book, Aspire, is another one. There's a lot of things that are coming out where people are suspicious of what's going on, especially with our industry, right? Between realtors and mortgage people, how much trust have we built up over the last decade? Right? We've got a deficit, guys. So we need to go out and start putting some big deposits back in. Serving is fulfilling. I mean, how do you feel at the end of the day? Right? When you go down the road and you say, okay, here's what I'm doing. What's your step like? Right? There's a lightness in your step, right? There's some warmth in your heart that can go on. So be aware of that, okay? It allows us to lead with the right motives. You're filling the blank on number 3 is motives. And as we get clear on this and we get clear on what our purpose is, this really starts to make a difference for us, okay? In the mastermind we were in Thomas yesterday, one of the things that came out was one of the attendees there said, instead of, how should she say it? Instead of it being a process, basically, that wasn't the word.
Once you reaffirm that it's a purpose.
It's not process, it's the purpose. Once she got clear on her purpose, her motive became clear, and now she's having a much bigger impact in her world, right? And things are happening for her in a much more positive way, okay? Here's the thing that it resonates very loudly with me. The next line there says, you don't need a title to serve. That's one of the reasons that I don't get caught up in titles, and sometimes you guys ask me what your title's like, whatever, okay, how can I help you? That's where we come from. An example in the book, by the way, this is from this is teachings all out of the book, 21 Laws of Leadership. The example in this book is Mother Teresa, right? Did she have a title? No. And she is one of the most influential people in the entire world, right? Were you gonna add something?
I was just gonna say we missed 4, the fill in the blanks, just FYI.
Thank you. Serving develops a leadership culture and a leadership team. Leadership culture and leadership team. So we're talking about leadership and what can go on, and leadership is not a position or title. And literally as I come out here, I'm going, okay, we just improved our leadership culture. My hope is that when you guys walk out today, you go, you know what, 90% of people that do it unintentionally. I didn't give them a pass. Let's get on my back. What's the big deal? Okay? Now we start to develop that culture. Okay? And here's the other beautiful thing. Now you guys are all part of the leadership team. Right? And this is cool. Now we have a leadership team. It's like, okay, now it's growing. Okay? And we're saying, hey, we're going to do a leadership mastermind and it'll grow. Now you all have the right to say, hey, I'm part of that team. I get to go. Okay? We can do those type of things. Does that make sense? Okay? That's where we want to come from. Thank you for helping me out there, Rob. Okay? Living the laws of addition. Here's what we want to do there. We want to add value by valuing others. That's the first thing, is how we can live it is value others. Okay? That's the first thing we need to start with. Okay? Number 2 there is we add value when we make ourselves more valuable. Again, Chris, thank you for what you shared. However, what's happened is brought a leader, a developing leader into my life who wants to grow. Guess what I got to do? Get your track shoes on, buddy. Because to stay ahead of him, I got to be moving. Does that make sense? So that comes back to the first person I lead is myself, and the most difficult person I lead is myself. Now I got to stay ahead of him. I got my work cut out for me. Right? And that's the deal. So I got to be working on myself. Okay? We add value to others when we know and relate to what others value. How do we find that out? How do we find out what others value?
Ask me questions.
Time and questions. Time and questions. It's talking on Facebook. Does that work? It's huge. Huge opportunity. Huge opportunity. We add value. The last point here is we add value to others when we do the things that God values. Now, here's the deal, and it's in the book. This is John Maxwell program, and John Maxwell, he's a pastor, he's a believer, and this is his faith. This does not have to be yours. However, it is part of your nose, and it's one of those things to be aware of. Whatever your belief is, like, what's that moral guiding compass that's above, right, for you? And what's that piece you're going to go back to as part of your groundedness for, okay, here's how I'm valuing others, okay? And here's what I want to value, okay? And there's some great examples in the book. The more influence I have, the greater my impact on others. For better or worse, I want to add value, not take it away. Here's a couple questions and we'll wrap up here. Leading others to the law. So here's some questions that I ask myself. You can ask the people on your team. You can ask yourself. This is for you. For me, I just look at these. If I'm not getting the results I want, I go and I look at these questions for me. And then I don't have to ask them for Chris, right? Because the first person who leads myself and most difficult for them. So I just ask those, how and when are you a servant leader? Great. What's going on for you? What's showing up for you? Okay? When do I get impatient or resentful? Like, I've done fine for the last hour. So I'm doing good. You guys give me good energy, okay? However, it's like, where else does that start showing up? Okay? Where it can get in the way of my results. Okay? I love this one. Are there tasks beneath your dignity or position? You know what? I just really think being with John Maxwell for the time that we were at the certification class before was incredible. Because he's really clear. He's John, and he's our friend. And the way that he communicates and connects with people is just a total inspiration and total clarity. And you know, this is how people show up that are very real. And nothing beneath him. He understands. Hey, you know what? We're in partnership. There's nothing beneath here. So what are those little things? Since I've become aware of this law and start to live it more, guess who I'm nicer to? Thank you. Yeah, my wife. Yeah, that's good. And the barista at Starbucks.
Absolutely.
And the bus person, not just the server, the bus person. Yep. So as I become more intentional, and because I've got to do it intentionally because I'm selfish, right? It's like as I become more intentional, like, hey, I don't know what value I'm adding. I just want to appreciate it, right? It doesn't take a whole heck of a lot. And now what are we doing to multiply a culture? Number 4 is actually a statement. So I'm going to go to 5 first. What do the people closest to you value? Now, I was having a conversation with Zach on Monday evening, and as we were talking through what was going on, I was sharing some stuff with him. I thought, hey, here's what, I don't even remember what the topic was, Zach. However, going through it, this question slapped me in the face. I said, hey, I hear here. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I haven't spent enough time with Chris lately to find out what Chris is up to. I just, total like bucket of cold water. Take a step back, pal. Okay? Because am I in touch enough with what they value? Okay? That's one of the, that's an important piece. Again, how do we find that out? That goes back to the question above, how do we find out what people value? We have to spend time with them and ask questions. Okay, we have to be in that space of being with them. Okay, and then the statement for number 4 that is shown as a question should be a statement. It's make it a practice to perform small acts of service without seeking credit. Okay. The community we live in, we're going in and there's a water bottle there on the ground. I'll pick it up, and my wife mentioned it. I was like, yeah, Dad always does that. The dirty diaper, I didn't. Figure out a different way to handle that. I was like, what's the little thing that we can take care of, right? There's something down. There's something. Not touching it, okay? So I just want to be aware of what are those small acts that I can do that nobody else is aware of. It doesn't matter, right? It's the simple things so that we can make a big difference with. So I'm going to close with 2 questions that John shared with us that he asked himself every day. Okay? And as I become more intentional being aware of this law, it's a question I'm asking myself way more frequently. So the first question is, when he starts out his day, he says, who am I going to add value to today? Who am I going to add value to today? So he goes out with a clear intention of adding value to somebody today. Okay? At the end of the day, he asks the question, who did I add value to today? Right? That's that reflection piece I talked about. It's like, okay, I said I was going to, what I do. Okay? And getting back in touch with that. So my hope is that you'll take this and we're able to take and make a huge difference for our families first, for our clients, and for our communities through being aware of how we can add value to them. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I really appreciate it.